once you pull it up, Armand, we're rolling over here. So whenever you're ready, you're good to go.
I don't see it.
Should pop up.
Okay.
Refresh it. Does it say that it's live on your iPhone?
Yep. One person's watching.
Okay.
Let me see if it's live. Yeah. You're live on this.
Okay.
Refresh your thing again. Your actual profile. Yeah. Scroll down. Right there.
Okay. Cool.
And then you did the sound check and everything?
Testicles 1 2. Sound check 1 2.
All right, wait 1 second. See, can I get my key? Oh. No, I think I'm good. Just text me when you're done.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, guys.
All right.
Good session. I gotta go do this comedy show. Wait. Before Mikey ditches me. No, I'm not.
All right. You ready?
Ready to go.
Okay.
Sound check and everything?
Testicles 1 2. Sound check 1 2. Okay.
All right, wait 1 second. See, can I get my keys?
Okay. Cool. Okay. So I see the delay.
Just text me when you're done.
Good. For sure.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Armand Anderson Bell here with another edition of Agree to Disagree Talk. But wait a minute, I got a little bit of news. So, because of the new format of the show, me having different interviews, I decided to change the name of the show. So, the name of the show from here on out is Standing in Your Truth. That's standing, the letter N. Your is spelled U-R, and truth. So, from here on out, the show is called Standing in Your Truth. Thank you very much for all your support. Hold on, I gotta get my. Because of the new format of the show, my volume on my phone is up. There we go. I was hearing feedback. Give me Janet Jackson feedback. But I don't hear it at all. Okay. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for all your support with Agree to Disagree Talk. Thank you for all those people who donated and supported the show. It has come a long way. So with that being said, welcome to the first edition of Standing in Your Truth. I am your host, Armand Anderson Bell. With me today is my guest host on my Inspire series, Mr. Phillip A. So before I begin, I'm going to give you a brief bio of Phillip A. I am working on my disclaimer for Standing in Your Truth, so I don't have that yet. I normally do a disclaimer for Agree to Disagree Talk because people like to get in their feelings. But I will say the new format of the show, Standing in Your Truth, is just that. People will come on and we will talk about what it means for them standing in their truth. I wish to inspire, encourage, and affirm people standing in their truth. So with that being said, Mr. Phillip A., he's been in the fashion district for over 38 years with companies such as Bongo Jeans, Pacific Sunwear Stores, Wet Seal, Lip Service, and so many more. Mr. Phillip has worked with such artists as Nicki Minaj and YG, just to name a few. For the past 10 years, Mr. Phillip has worked and launched his own company, Fashion Service Group, an online service for specializing and helping up-and-coming designers create and manufacture their own line. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of Standing in Your Truth. My guest today is Mr. Phillip A. Hi, Phillip.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to be here, and thank you for having me in your show.
Well, thank you. Before we begin, we also got to give a nice shout out to my former co-host, Mr. Jake Johnson, who referred Mr. Phillip to myself. So we had been working on getting this interview out for a while. So we want to give a shout out to Jake again. Thank you, Jake, for referring Phillip.
Thank you, Jake.
We had a nice interview session on Sunday. I got to meet some really cool people, and I was really excited. So we're going to start our interview session right now. So I'm going to start with the basics of journalism, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So, Phillip, who is Phillip A?
Well, for the past 10 years, I've been creating clothing lines for a lot of youngsters, a lot of regular people. They come from all over the world to see me so I could create their fashion for their online business. So we do styles like swimwear, activewear, streetwear, leather, handbags, everything that has to do with fashion.
Okay.
People come to my shop so I could help them produce those things and make the prototypes for the salesmen in their showroom.
Okay. Give me a brief history because we on some time constraint. So give me a brief growing up in LA, some of the things
Wow.
that started you out.
What started me out was the 70s, the disco era.
Yes,
So
God.
we used to be on different dance shows, and that started me out with fashion, creating fashion for my friends. Every time we went out, we got ready, we prepared the clothing to go out to the shows. And after that, at 17, I decided to go into the fashion business. So I went to LA Trade Tech, and I went there, and I graduated from there. And after that, it just blew up. I just started working for a lot of corporate companies, like Wet Seal and Bongo and stuff like that, companies like that. And then the past 10 years, I've been working on my own, and I've been creating a lot of clothing lines for a lot of people
Right.
and making a lot of people successful.
Tell me, if you can briefly tell me about the story that we talked about with the car accident.
With the what?
The car accident.
The car accident. You want to know
Yeah.
about the car
I
accident?
do, because
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
inspirational.
Okay, so this was when I was 16, and we were out there having parties and stuff, and I was like 3 blocks from home, and I fell asleep on the wheel, and my foot went on the accelerator, and I just kept going fast, and another person was going around the corner, and I crashed, and they had to get me out of the car with the jaws of life, the firemen. And when I was going through the hospital and I was on a gurney and the doors opened up to the surgery room, I woke up. I saw myself drenched in blood, and I was so scared, and I fainted. And then 2 weeks later, I opened my eyes. I felt like my soul was waking up. My soul was coming out of my body, and when I looked to my right, I saw the priest saying Santa Maria,
The
like
last
if I could-
rites.
the last rites.
Right.
And on my left, it was my mother and my brothers and sisters crying for me and everything. And then I felt my body go back to my body, and I went back. I went to a coma. So at that point, I saw Jesus. He was coming at me. He was raising his hands for me to come to him, and I was so scared. And I kept promising, Lord, don't take me now. I'm only 17. My mom is going to get sick. Something's going to happen to my mom. I was worried about her. I was worried about myself, that I was 17 and too young to die.
Right.
So I kept asking him and begging him that if he let me live, I would do a lot of beautiful things in this world. I would get a degree in something. I would go to a flight to Mexico City to the Virgin Mary and keep that promise. And then 2 weeks later, I woke up, and well, he let me live because he was backing up and he was putting his hands down. So he did give me a second chance. After that, I made sure that I kept all my promises to him.
And so that kind of led you on the road of inspiration, correct?
Right. I was inspired, and I was always in the fashion, so I got into the fashion. I went to a fashion school, LA Trade Tech. It's a great college.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, with this whole process of me changing the name from the show is Standing in Our Truth, is that there's so many people I wish to inspire others. And when we do things, we don't have that as an aspiration. It just happens. So can you give me some examples of like what inspired you at an early age, and then what inspires you now to keep going?
Well, what inspired me then is the fashion. I enjoyed it. Every time I designed, I made a pattern, I created something. It came from my heart. I didn't do it because I had to do it or I had to work for somebody 8 hours a day. There was passion behind it.
Right.
And then, as now, after all these years, what I'm going to do is after another 1 year, I'm going to create a fashion school online for a lot of people.
Okay.
And very
Let's hold
affordable.
off on that because
Okay.
we want to go and give us a story. So,
Okay.
we're talking about inspiration, and again, telling your story in hopes of inspiring other people, because we all have talents and things that we want to do, but sometimes we get stuck.
The thing is that the creativity comes from inside.
Right.
And you need someone to inspire you to bring it out. So I had my teachers, I had my friends, all these people to inspire me that I had what it took to do this. So I think that you need someone to take that out of you because it's in you.
Right.
And that inspiration on designing and everything comes from your heart.
Right. And is we see I like to call this a microwave society that we live in now because everyone wants everything right away. They want it so fast without acknowledging the hard work, the dedication, the time when no one believes in you. So, give me a brief idea of some of the things that you've gone through to where you're at now in your career.
Well, it's getting sharp on what you know how to do, and that's designing and making patterns. When I saw myself creating things for people, bringing them alive, them making a lot of money on it, working together, and creating fashion, that what inspired me more and more and more. The more I do it, the more I get inspiration. And when I do a pattern, it comes from the heart,
Right.
and that's where the magic is, the real magic.
It is again we have these ideas in our head, whether it's a small idea to start a business, whether it's just a flick. For me, it's when that idea and those thoughts continue. No matter what you do in life, they'll show up. And if we allow ourselves to be open enough, then the inspiration, the passion, the drive comes from that. But we always see again people and the finish line of what we call as they've made it, but we never really talk about the beginning steps. What were some of the struggles that we go through, and where has your passion taken you? Because it's taken you a lot of places. Where's your passion taken you? Also, where do you think it would take you sometime in the next future?
Well, my passion now it's still creating clothing lines for people's online business. Okay, that's one. But we are creating a online school that are going to help a lot of people
Right.
because a lot of colleges now is very expensive.
To say the
They're
least.
over 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, but we're going to try to keep ours under 10,000.
And where did that nugget, that like light saying, I want to do a little bit more, because it's always we get so, and I say we because I'm including myself in this, we get complacent, we get stuck, or we figure, oh, I've gone to this mountaintop.
Well, the thing is that I've been studying the fashion business for a long time. I've seen everybody come, everybody go, new people come, everything. So what I've noticed is a lot of students come from out of the college with a little bit of experience, sometimes nothing.
Right.
They only teach them the basics. So they don't have the experience to learn how to do mistakes, how to fix them, how to make them. I always tell everybody the fashion business is the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And that's what they don't learn. They learn the good, but they don't learn all the rest of it that they need. So out of all these years, I just decided to open up a fashion school online to help everybody. And everything that I've learned, everything that I've done, that's what inspired me to do this.
Right.
You know,
And it's just all coming full circle in some of the things you do. Again, sharing your love and your passion, and again, we get to a place and we think, because, and we've talked yesterday, I mean on Sunday, and you've been in the trenches with some of the top name people, and you've done work with them. Even then, when you were doing that, did you have more drive to continue to do more than what you're doing?
for the celebrities, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yes, it gave me drive. I only do the celebrities because I need that under my belt. And not only that, it's fun. It's more creative. It's more fast fashion. But behind everything that I'm doing, when I launch the fashion school online, I want to launch a nonprofit that's going to help the kids of LA and the school district, because sometimes they're in a low budget. They don't have money to buy computers or books. I want to be there for them. And that's what I'm doing. That's where my heart's going, to help the kids of LA because they're the future.
Right. And this again is another avenue. So, in your opinion, why is it important to have places to be able to express yourself, creativity, your creative side? Because a lot of times we don't have that. We have society tries to limit us based on our race, our gender, our social economic status, but you see something beyond that, and you want to help other people in that. Correct?
Yes, I see a lot of creativity in a lot of people. People come to my office and I walk them through the whole process on making their designs, creating their patterns, doing production so they could sell on their online business. And I help them in every way. I I almost help them throughout the whole process so they could have their dreams come true.
Right.
And they come in with the dream of having fashion of their own name, their own labels, their own online business. And I try to walk them through the whole business.
And I would say because you've had people help you in the past,
Yes.
this is easy for you to just, it seems seamless to someone on the outside, but you've gone through struggle, you've gone through, give me some of those stories.
Okay, well, no matter what comes in front of me, I will continue. I mean, I've gone through some marriages, I still continue. I've gone through a lot of hardship, I still continue. That love I'll never leave. It's always going to be with me. And it all comes back from that accident I had when I was younger. It's a promise that I give to the Lord that I will help as much as I can. The kids are the future. That's the whole reason I want to plant that seed.
Right.
So when they get bigger, they could do good things for themselves. Not to be in the fashion business, but to find something they really love to do.
Right. It's important that, again, we water seeds. I am blessed. I have a few people on here. Patty Dersham is one of my people who has stood by me at my worst. And we thank the people in our lives who have supported us even when we didn't know how to do what we were doing. And so now it's that opportunity for you to do the same with this online school, correct?
Yes.
And what are some of the things that you're looking forward? Because again, this is something that's never been done. It's may have started from an idea, and now it's coming into fruition.
All I know is that I can't say too much of what I'm going to do with the school because everything's still under wraps.
Right.
But I'm telling you, this is what everybody's been waiting for. The new generation, the future generation, and everybody, because I've been studying the students that have been coming out of the colleges lately. And they're not, it's hard to get experience, first of all. They teach them the basics. The experience comes from the years, like myself, that I have. So by having all these years' experience, and not only that, I could do all the categories, like swimwear, activewear, denim, jeans.
You've seen it all.
Everything. I've done it all and seen it all. So that's a good thing. And that's the reason that I'm going to give back to everybody.
Right. One of my favorite gospel songs by the Clark sisters is My Living in Vain. And one of the lines is, if I can help somebody along the way, is my living in vain? And we go through life thinking it has to be some miraculous feat or anything like that. And sometimes it's just a simple word of encouragement. It's just simply being there. But we also realize that our life experience is building us up to do just those things. I look back at a lot of things in my life now, and at the time, I didn't see it. And I'm sure there were things in your life where you didn't see it. And now that we've overcome it, it's a little bit more clear. The journey's a little bit stronger because we have weathered the storm, correct?
Right. I could see everything clearly. I already have all the plans for the school. I have 3 partners in it, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And we're going to help a lot of students.
We talked about it, and I'm really excited to get this because again, when an idea comes to us, whatever form it's in, we just I speak for myself, and I'll speak for myself. It's like, oh, okay, here's an idea. And then we go about our life, and then something happens where it's constantly nagging at you. For me, doing this show was one of those things. Coming into acting and being just open and available because you never know where it's going to come from. And again, our life consists of a culmination of all those things. Your experience in the 70s and the 80s and now the good and the bad. But I want to know from a production side, like how is it going from like a sketch to being on the runway? What is that process like?
Wow. Okay, so you would come with sketches to my office. I would explain to you how it's going to be done, and I would ask them what kind of things they want on them. If it's denim, if it's swimwear, the trims, the things, and make the pattern, put it into sewing. After sewing, you fit it on the model, and after the model, you put it on runway. You make arrangements to have a fashion show.
There's a lot of steps when, from behind the scenes when we see a garment. What I see that you're teaching is all the steps because there's some people that just specialize in the illustrations, and there are some people that just specialize in the manufacturing. What you are attempting to do is teaching people how to do in-house stuff on their own, correct?
Right. Well, when the people that come to my office, they pay me for doing the pattern, creating the garment, sewing the garments, doing the production, the whole thing.
Right. And these are things that you've learned over the year because
Yes.
individually started, like when you first started, what were you?
When I first started, I was a sample cutter.
And what does that mean for someone who may
Well,
not
it's the
know?
bottom of the barrel. I mean, you got to learn how to cut, but it wasn't something I went to school for. And then some company that I was working for gave me a chance.
Okay,
Says,
that's all we need in
a
life.
chance, one chance, and that was really the greatest experience I ever had. That first chance was what I was waiting for, and once I knew that I could do it, there was no holding me down. I went head on.
Get was like, oh, okay, this is the beginning, but
It was
it
a feeling
opened
that I
doors.
felt that the Lord had gave me, you know, for the promises I did for Him.
Right.
Yeah,
And now everything is coming full circle, so to say.
everything's coming full circle, and I'm so happy. Yeah.
I'm excited for you. It again, this segment of my podcast is standing in your truth. What were some of the things that you may have faced personally in the process of this journey that you're on in fashion design?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have no regrets. One, and I've had my personal life had more more of the ugly part, but the fashion business I also had a grip on it.
Okay.
So no matter what happened, I just kept going, and thank God that He's always. I've always had a job. I always had work. It's because of the talent that I was gifted with. It just made things easier and easier and easier. You know, when I started 10 years, I had four walls. Now I'm just bursting out of that office. You know,
Right. It's a journey and it's a process that, again, we have to allow ourselves the process. We don't even know what that process may be. And again, I'm so grateful to be here to help other people. As I'm helping myself, I'm hoping that other people are inspired to stand in their truth because it's difficult. We have so many things in life from society tells us what we should and we shouldn't do. You have people who just don't care for themselves, and so they'll try to inflict those same things. Oh, you shouldn't do this because of your race, your age. How what are some of the things that you use to encourage yourself, and then what are some of the things that you may want to share with other people on that journey?
well, I always accept everybody that comes into my office. I'm not into the race stuff. I Everybody's welcome to come into my office, sit down with me, and tell me their dreams. I mean, the dreams to be a purse manufacturer, to be a denim manufacturer, to be a leather manufacturer. I'm there for them. And whenever, I mean, I live upstairs. My office is downstairs. I live, breathe this business. From,
And that's something that you've had to learn over
and I
the
never
years.
close 7 days a week.
Right, that's what you were saying. It's like, okay.
So that's the love I have, and I have the same love when I have my customers. You know, I try to take care of them, teach them. I don't want them to lose money. I want them to make money, and that's basically what I do for everybody.
When you see a new customer or you're gonna, have this school, are you looking at some things that, maybe like a little bit of yourself in them, or maybe just something that they can go above and beyond, what you've learned in the near future?
Well, they're going to learn a lot out of the school. I can't say right now because everything's still under wraps.
Right.
But I'm going to teach them everything that I can. And I'm going to have video, audio, everything on that school. You know, I'm going to walk them through everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's what fashion is.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. So, where do you think fashion stands now? What are some of the trends you like? What are some of the ones that you don't
what's-
like?
I like everything that I'm doing for a lot of people. But the way fashion is now, China's not going to be around very long. Everybody wants everything made in USA, made in Los Angeles, and that's what's creating a good thing for myself and a lot of people in the
Right.
fashion business. Because now you can sell an expensive item. You don't have to say it's made in China, it's made in USA, it's made in Los Angeles.
Right. We have a lot now, so much more technology and accessibility as far as getting garments. Like you go downtown and there's garment districts. It's so many different layers to the novice who may just see a dress. But you and the business know it from the inception of that is so many different things. And being able to in-house everything is going to be revolutionary.
Right. It's made in USA, made in Los Angeles, packaged, the labels, everything is made in Los Angeles, even the fabrics.
Right. the little tank top that I have on right now, shout out to the Winston Box, is a designer who does everything from Peru. I get clothes from them. It's an online men's wear plus size that I'm affiliated with, and I looked at his process, and it's just like, wow, you never. That's what I love about being an artist is appreciating another person's art, and you don't have to understand it, but I know the struggle, and that's why I wanted to do this Inspire segment, is to get and pick people's brain from inception, what it takes from this coming, because he does everything from Peru and is taking a different niche into the plus size mail order stuff. So with your stuff, it's going to do that same thing, but with schooling, correct?
With schooling, right? I'm gonna teach them how to do everything in LA.
And that's big because most schools don't teach that. Even it's only so much. Even the makeup school that I went through, there was only so much that I can learn there. But experience, as you know, Mickey Howard says, experience is the good teacher. Like we get it and we see it, but also having that drive and that passion to think outside the box. Our society encourages us, or excuse me, doesn't encourage us enough to think outside the box. So I want to know, dig a little bit deeper. What were some of the things when you were incepting, even from the beginning when you were a cutter, some of the things that you had to go through to get to where you're at now?
Oh my God, it was tough. It was tough, because you got a lot of criticism from the older people, and they look at you, you're just starting, and they find things wrong with you and things like that, and they sometimes they don't encourage you. I had a lot of encouragement from the owners of the companies because they knew my talent.
Right.
They thought I was a secret weapon on making patterns and creating, so they took care of me. But the other employees, there was a little jealousy there.
Right.
And,
As they are.
and that was very hard for me because they didn't let me do my job. They always were trying to find a way to do something wrong with my stuff or
Sabotage.
sabotage. That's what I call it, sabotage.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's difficult. We deal with sabotage on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're on your purpose and in life, when you want something so passionately. Anything without struggle to me is not worth it. If we go through life and just get it on the first time, or that it comes so easy for me, I've learned that I'm dealing with it now. Is that the press back to you shouldn't do this, the people and their criticism and things like that. Again, with this whole segment of my podcast, the standing in your truth part, is I want to share that with people. I want people to see, because there's so many different stories that we have in life. We think that we're the only one going through them until we reach out and someone sees us, or we say, you know what, I'm not the only one. And so again, I'm bringing. I'm so glad you're my first one, because we talked about this with Jake before. Is that this is what I want to do. I want to pick people's brains and have them share their experience, their passion, because we never know how we can inspire another person. And us just being us, living in our truth, standing in our truth, we're able to do that. So how is the impact, on your approach in life? How has that helped you to get where you're at now? And then where are some of the places, outside of the school that you want to go?
Outside of the school, well, right now my plans are focusing just on the school. The school's it's gonna help so many people. I mean, if I could only tell you what I'm gonna do,
Right.
it would be so inspiring.
Right.
You know,
But you just being here, when it was brought to me, Jake brought your attention to me. I was like, okay, then we've talked back and
Right.
forth, and just being in your studio on Sunday was really, again, we just sat down and we're having a conversation. And again, being an artist, for me, I love appreciating another person's art.
right. So that's why when my customers come in, they're they're overwhelmed with me because I tell them what they need to do, and I make sure that they don't trash their money. I make sure I watch them what they're doing. I walk them through everything. I give them a lot of sourcing. I'm always there for them, and that's what they need.
Right.
And that's why I have customers that have been with me for 4 years, and every month they produce. Every month
You
they
had two
produce.
customers come in when I was here.
Right.
You know.
But anybody forward that has to come and see me would have to email me first.
Right.
Before, yeah.
One of the things that I've learned as an actor, as an artist from other people, is your talent can take you a lot of places, but your personality can also hold you back. And so there are things that you're not taught in school, being punctual, having, because you're going to work with other people. What are some of the things that you encourage, that you may encourage the students to do now as far as outsourcing or building relationships?
Well, it's kind of hard because it's the experience. They might be 17, they might be 18, but it took me 38 years to get the experience I got. I wouldn't change that to give that away for anything in the world.
Right.
What I'm using it for is for the kids because I said it's for they're the future. They're the ones going to take us to the next level. You know, so I'm preparing them, and I'm preparing a lot of people for the future to be designers.
Where do you see, like, what was the spark that, because we've talked about your career,
Right.
everything, but as far as this leg of with the school, what was that spark? How was that?
Well, okay, 10 years ago, I was going to do a physical school in LA, but I saw the people that were trying to take advantage of me. They wanted me to give them the curriculum and launch it with them, but I decided to do online. You know, I decided to do online. 10 years ago, I just started working on this whole thing with my son, and he works for a big company too. He's in the fashion business too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be a family affair.
it was going to be a family affair.
Right, and we talked, and you were saying you're preparing this business so that your kids can take over,
Right.
and this thought of yours is going to supersede anything that you're doing now, right?
Well, the good thing is about it is I'm going to make it in 4 different languages.
Okay,
Yeah, that's going to be the good thing.
right.
So I'm going to share it with a lot more people. When I said I was going to try to expand it, that's how I'm going to expand it.
Okay.
Doing it in 4 languages and affordable and tuition.
Again, it's something that hasn't been done,
It hasn't been done.
I'm excited for you because again, when you have a nugget of an inspiration, it sits with you, and then I don't know, for me the process is like, okay, I get it, and then it's like, okay, and then when you can't shake it, it'll show up. It'll show up in all that you do. It's like, okay, maybe I need to do something about it. What was that like when you got this idea for the school? Because you at this point you had been,
I was excited to know what I'm able to do for everybody, and to put this online. I'll never relieve that secret, but there's going to be a lot of good things. They're going to be shocked at what I have in store for them.
right.
It's all the good things.
How would you recommend someone, getting their start? Again, fashion is about risk. It's about stepping outside of the box. So, how would you
If
recommend?
it's in your heart, it's going to work. If it's about making just money and trying to make profit, that's risky.
I think when you start in art, because it always starts from a thought, an idea, a pastime.
Right.
We have to take it to the next level, and so again, that takes skill on top of the talent. It just takes patience. It takes a knowledge of knowing what to do. And so, how for you have you seen fashion evolve over the 30, 40 years that you've been, and how does it make you excited still to this day versus when you first started?
Well, when it started, it was in the 80s. It was a lot of fun. There was so much money in town. You could quit a job on this block and get picked up on another block. And people were happy making fashion. It was the 80s. I used to work for Bongo,
Okay.
and that was a good time. And things were beautiful then. Now, the pay is not the same. This is why a lot of the people that get into the fashion now should start their own company. It's not the same as working with somebody, but they're not getting paid like I was getting paid.
Right.
My salary would never get paid again like that. But that's the only downfall on the new kids on the block. They got to start their own companies.
Do you think the technology and the resources that we have now, do you think it's hurt or does it help now?
The technology is great, and that's another thing. In my website for my school, I'm going to have a lot of technology that you could use for everything in the business,
Right.
in the fashion business.
Did you find it a little bit like, how was your transition from, going from each decade is always something different,
Right.
patterns and
Sure.
accessibility. So, what has your progress been as far as the way fashion is done?
Well, the thing is that I've tried all those computer grading, computer marking, computer making patterns,
Mm-hmm.
but it was never for me. The magic is in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always kept it that. I'm really old school about that.
Right.
But I believe in the computers. I believe in the technology, but I believe it's for somebody that really loves the technology.
Right.
For me, it's the hand. I have the gift with my hands, and I've always been manually, and I always will be manually.
Right. The feel of a fabric, the seam, and
Exactly.
I personally, I love books. I will not get rid of a book. There's something about the feel of a book, and being an artist. When I go out and I do my shows and stuff, I have my material and stuff. And when I go down, because at this point I don't know how to fashion design. I know what designs work best for my body frame, and I showed you some of my pictures and stuff. And it's about having that touch.
Well, you have that touch. I seen your pictures. They're great.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you could only. It's not easy to put something together. It has to come from the heart and
Right.
up here.
Right. We have a question. The name of the website, are we allowed to give it out yet, or is still in?
No, it's still in process.
Okay.
It's not.
So right, the name of the company, we can say your company, right?
Yeah, but company's fashion service group.
Right. So your company's fashion service group, the website is in progress, so that information will come out. If you are following my page, then Mr. Phil, he and I will be in contact. Who knows? I may do a red carpet for him or something, but it's very little that he can display right now. But your company, give me some
Well, my
details on your company.
company, you would have to email me for an appointment, and that would be fashion service group at yahoo.com. And email me if you want an appointment. If anybody needs an appointment to see me to create their clothing line for their online business, they're willing, they could go ahead and do that.
What's the time frame for the everything to start, like the school and everything? Do you have a
For
time
the
frame
school,
now?
I have 1 year before I launch.
Okay, so we're okay.
Within 1 year. Yeah.
That's exciting.
I need to make sure everything's going to be right.
Right.
So, me
I
and
it,
my
wa-
partners.
I when I was at your studio the other day, I was like, your desk is a creative desk, and only another artist would know. Like to somebody else, it may come in and
Where's
it's
everything?
yeah, but only like what this mean. And I was looking, I saw the rack with the panels and everything like that, and your desk. But because it's organized, and I like that because I'm like that way. It's like I know what material and I love going down to the garment district, and like I was just with some friends today. It was so funny. We were in Torrid, and I'm that person when I see a simple item. It's like, okay, I see a seam. Like I showed you the shoes that I've made, my
Right.
wallet. It's just something about that. It's like, why be ordinary when you could be extraordinary? So I love that. And again, those were talents that I was made fun of, having them and
It's,
being,
I
feminine.
disagree with the fun of because that's creative.
Right.
I mean, that comes from your heart. You did it. Is not everybody could do that. It's not for everybody. I mean, like I said, sometimes you're born an artist. You're born a designer. You are born to be in the fashion. You're born to be a doctor. You're born to do all the things.
Right.
So the fashion is the same way.
Right, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, again, another artist. Again, I love watching shows like So You Think You Can Dance and different. Because I love the artistry. It's a beautiful. Is that a client?
Sorry.
That's okay. But and then even then, those simple things that we just think of as being fun, we never know where they can lead us. Like I never thought in a million years that I would be an actor. And on the surface, people think, "Oh, you're just a drag queen," and people don't realize the art that it takes to transform, to do so much. But again, it wouldn't happen if I didn't allow myself to go through that. And that's what I want to encourage other people, no matter what your stance in life is, when you stand in your truth, then the doors will be open. But again, number one, we have to get away from the negativity of society, and then also from ourselves, because sometimes we can hold our own self back.
I've gone through those days where I'm really stressed out, and I try to focus on what I'm doing and eliminate everything else. You have to. Whatever people think, whatever people say, just focus on what you're doing. That's the opinion I would give everybody. Focus.
Right. And find that niche. We have a question. So in studio with me right now is Mr. Phillip A, who's been in the fashion industry for over 38 years, close to 40. He is part of I've changed the name of my show from Agree to Disagree Talk now to Standing in Your Truth. And I'm so excited that you are my first guest on this leg, because on this part of the journey of my podcast is, again, allowing people to come and share their stories, and at the end of the day, do just what the show says, standing in your truth. And so that's what we're talking right now. Mr. Phillip is giving us some ideas, some thoughts on his journey into the fashion industry, some projects that he's working on in the future. If anyone has any questions, you can always add them on the Facebook Live, or you can give us a call on the call-in number, which is area code 323-577-7360. 323-577-7360. What are some of your favorite pieces of garments? What are some of the things that when you see?
I love making leather. I love making jeans, jean jackets, jean dresses, everything with denim.
How is working with? Because I know that the everything down from what you cut with to it's a different. Is that something that you have to learn?
Yeah, it's a long process, and if you do every process right, you'll get a beautiful product. If you do a mistake, then you're gonna have to pay for that.
Is that something like? Because I'm pretty sure the equipment used to make leather is not the same as making silks and
Right,
and
you're right.
you
You're
know.
so right. Every factory is different. You have to have. If you're doing leather, you need a leather shop. If you're doing denim, you need a denim shop. If you're doing silk, you need a silk shop.
Right. And you need to know the mechanics. And again, for an outside person, we just see it. It's like I tell people, I was telling friends today, I always send my clients I like ELF. ELF is a makeup line that stands for eyes, lips, and face. And I send them there because most makeup artists, they'll do the makeup and then they keep wanting you to come back. As I'm doing stuff for you, I want you to learn to do it for yourself. And I was telling them that there's 5,001 ways once you know how to use a product. Because everyone thinks, oh, you have to have a lip liner, you have to have eyeliner. I'm from the old school. You can do all that with the same thing. But it's the knowledge of knowing how to use the product.
Right.
And that's the same thing. It's like you would know, okay, these cutting shears won't work on
Right.
silks and
Everything
things.
is different.
And that takes, again, a talent. It also,
Experience.
right. Experience is a good teacher. Yes, Mickey Howard. That's one of my favorite, you know, uh, songs. But it's true because, again, I've learned a lot, with the first show and within life and people's opinion. You take it and you take some things and then you don't take a lot of things. Or what are some of the things that you've, experienced as far as stepping out onto, garment designing?
Well, I don't understand the question.
What are some of the things that you've taken your experiences and into now? So when you make fabrics or when you have those things, these are some of the things, again, that will be taught in school, right?
Right. How to design your fabric, how to make your fabrics. Because now we have a lot of mills in LA that could create your fabrics.
Right. We have a question asking, what was the last thing that you made? Depends on what his client is.
For YG.
Oh,
For
all right.
YG, we did a short and a shirt for him.
Okay.
And I've done things for Nicki Minaj. I've done a jacket. But all these people have a stylist to come in between me and them. So I've never met them, but I've always worked with those names.
So, because I know when you're on set as an actor, everything has so do studios come to you, or how does that work?
There's different people that are in between the studios and me, and they come to look for me. They're going to do a whole music video. So I would have to get all the things ready.
Right, the set list.
The set list. They would give me measurements, and I would start going from there, buy the fabric, create what they need.
Right.
They kind of feed me what they need.
And you build it from the ground
And I'll
up.
build it from the ground up.
And again, this is what you're teaching in the school, because I know that, again, in others industries, those things are all separate. You have a colorist, you have a cutter,
Right.
You have but you're teaching self-sufficiency, so to say.
Self-sufficiency and a lot of ways to save money. Because that's basically, everybody has a budget when they come and see me.
Right.
So I need to know that budget. So they come to me and I sit them down and I talk to them and find out what they need and how much money they need for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, again, I taken things from Ross, and I showed you the suit that I made with
Right.
the sequence and everything. I don't have a lot of money, and I just saw something, and again, it's that small thing um, that gets you to the next level. And again, I learned that some things, like I had a material that I wanted to put on the suit, and I realized it was too heavy. So I had to go
Right.
and
That's
hand sew the things. And again, that was the experience.
there's always a solution to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the ideal, there's a solution on how to make that.
Right.
That's I'm the kind of guy that doesn't give up. I make sure I'm on it.
Right.
I'm on it until it flies.
I've always, said that there's 5,001 ways to do everything. And so you just have to find your niche.
Yeah.
I learned, I started and I still use hot glue. So now I have this machine called the Hot Fix machine where it's like the crystals and rhinestones have the glue on the back.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay. And again, it was from experience,
Right.
going through it and trying different things.
Sure. Ever since I started in the fashion business, I've always seen a lot of mistakes of mine, and I've created new ideals, new ways to do things. There's a way to do things.
Right. It's a process.
It's a process.
Sometimes we want to jump ship and we want to go from step A to Z and not realize that all those steps in between are needed. And then when you have them under your belt, it's like, oh, okay. And you begin to be like, oh, it's so easy now. And again, I want to take the behind the velvet rope of people in their life, because a lot of times we see a person say, oh, they made it. But we never know about what they've done to get to where they're at. And some people don't want to talk about it, but when they're on my show, we're going to talk about it. And I'm so excited to have that idea. So again, I thank
No,
you.
I've
for
seen a lot
coming.
of things you're doing, and they're very creative.
Thank you.
They're very creative.
Thank
Trust
you.
me.
I'm really excited again to usher in this new form of being vulnerable and being open. A lot of people are not welcoming of another person's vulnerability or their authenticity, and that's okay. I realize that that's them. There's something in them that's scared, so they lash out. And I'm gonna continue to be me. When I wake up in the morning, I showed you my graduation cap and gown. I got a gown when I
Yes.
graduated. I was like, I want to step on that stage and do something different. And that took me forever and a day, and I hand sewn all that. But when I walked on that stage, the thing was, I didn't ask anyone's permission to do it. It came to me and I did it. The results were there were people, it was only a 9-month program.
Wow.
I said, you know what? I'm going to celebrate my 9 months. There were people getting masters and doctorates, and they were thanking me after it was done, saying you brought a light to, because they were all stressed out. And I said, child, if I was getting my masterate, honey, I'd have been coming down the helicopters from the sky. Don't ever ask anyone for permission to be you. That's one thing that we get so caught up, especially with the social media, because people have so many different opinions. They think they have a knack on what you should do and how you should do it. We have to realize that if it came to us, it's for us. And that's what I want to encourage
That's true.
people, inspire people to live their life. I always say, if you have a talent and your talent is painting with bird shit, I want you to be the best bird shitting painter there is in the world, because until you say that's what you do, no one will take you seriously. I looked and I always have been told, I say my full name, they ask you, what do you do? So, oh, I'm a drag queen. No, I'm a female illusionist. I see a lot of people who use that now, and I'm not trying to say, but I kind of started that because I was like, I don't want to say, because there's so much saying and holding me back saying I'm a drag queen. I played real women on stage, on television, things like that. But I had to have my passion and know who I was. And it hasn't been easy. It's a long road. There are people with me still today who support me. And then there's also the silent haters and things like that, which I welcome them because it keeps me on my toes. There's things I can always do a little bit better. Would you say?
I think you're doing great. I would not listen to those haters, not listen to anything out there. You're so creative in your own mind. I mean, even myself, even everybody that walks into my office, I pull all the creativity out of them. And
Yeah,
I
we had
make
a
it
nice
work.
conversation on Sunday. I wish you guys could tell you the other two people that we were sitting with, and we were just, again, when you are in your own space and your own truth, no one can bring that out of you. If anything, it should enhance another person.
It enhances.
Your light should just be that. What's working for Phil is not working for me. But I'm also allowing him to be him as hoping that he would allow me to be me. We have people who don't want to do that, and that's okay.
Sometimes I just try to focus on everything I do in life. And I take everybody seriously when they come into my office.
Right.
I sit them down, I talk to them, I try to take out what's in them, so I could see that. I have to see the same thing they're seeing, so I could create the patterns,
Right.
create the designs for them.
We have a question, and I think we're going to end that close to time, right? Okay, we got 10 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up, but our last question, and I guess I'll answer it as well as you. Cinnamon Brown, my neighbor, my good friend, she says, how do you start to come into your own? You want to answer it first, or I can?
You go ahead on that one.
You have to just allow yourself the good, the bad, the ugly. Only you would have that conversation with yourself, and it's not something that needs to be shared with the world, because when there's too many chefs in the kitchen, the food doesn't get cooked. You have to be honest with yourself, what it is that you like to do. And again, if it keeps showing up in your life, whether it's an idea for fashion or designing things or making a certain dish, then once you're on that path and that purpose, it's just like a good, it feels like fresh rain. It feels
Yes.
like, you've just woken up from a long sleep, because that it's for you. And if you constantly ask, I'm constantly in tune with the higher power of my understanding. I don't want to say God, because my God is maybe different from somebody else, but I constantly have those conversations. What's my next step? What should I do? I constantly am woken up at between 3 and 5 these past 6 or so months. That's when the creativity starts for me.
You're right.
What-
Well, for me, I work 7 days a week. I never close for nothing. I mean, no birthdays, no holidays, no vacation, nothing. I have dedicated myself totally to this career and helping everybody, and that's what makes me happy.
And again, you can think back to when it was just a thought, and
Before
now
it was just a thought. When I was 17, hey, what if I did this? What if went to design
hold
school?
on. We said thought, not thought, for somebody who may want to get it misconstrued. We said thought, but yeah, it's the journey from just a thought to now, and again, it's allowing ourselves to go through that.
Right. And it builds up stronger as you grow older.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it becomes, and again, it's not always going to be pretty, it's not always going to look right, but I challenge anyone again to find their passion, their purpose, and when you do, even the smallest things, allow yourself to go through those things, regardless of what people say.
Right. You're right.
Phil, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Jake, for introducing Phil to me. We
Thank
had
you,
a
Jake.
wonderful conversation the other day. Thank you for all the people who have supported Agree to Disagree Talk and who are now supporting me on this second leg in Standing in Your Truth podcast. I appreciate all your positivity, your comments, your concerns, even some of your reads. I take a read every now and then. I also give reads out too. So, but I thank you guys all for supporting me again on this leg of my podcast, Standing in Your Truth. My guests will be coming on talking about just that. I have a couple of shows lined up where I have other entrepreneurs coming on. I have a show where I have fellow drag queens. We're going to be talking about, a lot of people think, and they see the RuPaul drag show and they think, oh, it's just all that. There's steps to it. There's some of us who don't want to do the show for our own personal reason. So in the next week, I will have a panel of drag queens talking about our lives and how we deal with the duality, because when you're on stage, that whole persona is different than your everyday persona. Some of us go through mental and emotional issues. So next week I'll have a panel of drag queens out of drag, and we will be talking about living that duality. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Agree to Disagree Talk, now known as Standing in Your Truth. My name is Armand Anderson Bell. You can find me on all social media platforms. Armand, Armond, the number's 143. The name of the show now is Standing, the letter N, your is spelled Y-U-R, and Truth. You have to do it unique because there's a lot of standing in your truths out there. Mr. Phil, how can we get in contact with you?
Well, you get a hold of me at fashionservicegroup@yahoo.com. And just send me an email, tell me what you need and what you want to create, and we'll go from there.
And you guys will see Armand and Imani. It may be something new because I told you I want that coat, but that's another designer. But I'm gonna talk. But yeah, so just stay tuned. So you'll see Armand and Imani and something that feels and another designer. With that being said, you guys live your best life. Live your life according to you. There are 86,400 seconds in any given day. What are you doing with yours? With that, have a blessed week. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Gotta take the live off too.
How did I do, Armand?
You did wonderful. How'd you?
Oh, my God. Oh, I was so nervous. I was nervous.
Right.
Trust me, I was nervous. I need a drink.
I know. I need a stiff something else. Thank you.
You're good. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have done all that.
Again, I've been doing this since high
I
school.
know, but